Morning to everyone. My name is D. Srivani, working as a degree lecturer in chemistry subject from TTWRDC Women's Common. Let's see the topic of amino acids, peptides, and proteins. Introduction. An organic compound which contains one or more amino groups and one or more carboxyl groups in the same molecule is called as a amino acid. Amino acids derived from proteins have the amino group on the alpha carbon that is next to the carbon atom of the carboxyl group. Here this is the carboxyl group and this is the amino group, and this one is the alpha carbon, this one is the alpha hydrogen, and one more group is there, that is the, or it may be aliphatic chain or heterocyclic ring. All the amino acids have its tribal names and as well as systematic names. These tribal names usually reflects either the origin or a property of the compounds. For example, the compound NH2CH2COOH is called glycine rather than alpha amino acetic acid or 2-amino ethanoic acid. Glycine is so named because it has a sweet in taste. In Greek, glykos means sweet. That's why this compound name is known as glycine. Example 2. The compound CH3CHNH2COOH is called alanine rather than we called it as alpha propanoic acid or 2-amino propanoic acid. Now we will see the classification. Depending on the basis of functions and nature of the amino acids, they are classified into two types. Classification number 1. Classification based on functions of amino acids, it can be further divided into two types: essential amino acids and non-essential amino acids. So classification number 2. Classification based on the nature of amino acids, this can be further divided into three types: neutral amino acids, acidic amino acids, basic amino acids. Now we will see the first classification. Classification based on functions of amino acids. It can be further divided into essential amino acids and non-essential amino acids. What is the essential amino acids? The amino acids that cannot be synthesized by the body, supplied in the form of a diet, are called essential amino acids. Now we will see the definition of non-essential amino acids. The amino acids that can be synthesized from other compounds by the tissues of the body are called non-essential amino acids. Essential amino acids are not synthesized by the body. It can be supplied by the diet and it is very much essential. So it is called as the essential amino acids. And non-essential amino acids, it can be synthesized by the tissues of the body and it is not that much essential as compared with the essential amino acids. But both means essential amino acids and non-essential amino acids, both are required for the nutrition and growth purpose. Now we will see the which type of amino acids will come essential amino acids and which type of amino acids will come under the non-essential amino acids. Essential amino acids, arginine, isoleucine, histidine, leucine, methionine, lysine, phenylalanine, tryptophan, threonine, valine. All these amino acids comes under the essential amino acids. And now we will see the non-essential amino acids: alanine, arginine, asparagine, aspartic acid, cysteine, glutamic acid, glutamine, glycine, proline, tyrosine. All these are come under the non-essential amino acids. Now we will see the classification too. Depending on the nature of the amino acids are further divided into three types: neutral amino acids, acidic amino acid, basic amino acids. Neutral amino acids. Here Why it is called as the neutral amino acids? It contains same number of amino groups and carboxyl groups. That's why it is called as the neutral amino acid. For example, if a amino acid contains one amino group, means it contains one or carboxyl group. That's why it is called as the neutral amino acids. Under the neutral amino acids, we can see the examples of tryptophan, phenylalanine, glycine, alanine, valine, isoleucine, leucine, methionine, and proline. Here we mentioned its abbreviation in a bracket. Here in a general formula of amino acid, if we observe the general formula of amino acid, in that R group, it may be different, means I told you it may be aliphatic or heterocyclic. So by substituting different groups, we will get in the place of R, we will get different amino acids. Now we will see the acidic amino acids. In acidic amino acids, carboxylic groups are more than amino groups. That's why it is called as the acidic amino acids. Aspartate, glutamate, asparagine, and glutamine. All these amino acids come under the acidic amino acids. If we observe the aspartate, in this aspartate, here one carboxyl group is there, and here one more carboxyl group is there, but one amino group here. So two carboxylic groups are there and one amino group is there. So this is called as the acidic amino acid, means two acid groups are there and one amino group is there. That's why it's come under the acidic amino acids. In the same way, glutamate, asparagine, glutamine, all these also contain more carboxyl groups when compared with the amino groups. Now we will see the basic amino acids. In a basic amino acids, amino groups are more when compared with the carboxyl groups. That's why it is called as the basic amino acids. Under this basic amino acids, we can see the examples of lysine, arginine, or lysine. Here in a lysine, two amino group is there and one carboxyl group is there. In arginine also, 4 amino groups are there and one carboxyl group is there. So here basic groups are more than SD groups. That's why it is called as basic amino acids. Now we will see the amino acids which contain the sulfur atom. Here methionine, cysteine, and cysteine. These three amino acids contains the sulfur atom. So these are amino acids, means methionine, cysteine, and cysteine, which contain the sulfur atom. Okay, now so these amino acids are more important, and in a competitive exam purpose also they will ask which amino acids will contain the sulfur, and they will give 4 options. We have to choose one option. Now we will see the heterocyclic amino acids. Here in place of general formula of amino acid, means in a general formula of amino acid, that R group will replace with a heterocyclic ring. So here L-tryptophan, proline, histidine, hydroxyproline. All these amino acids will come under the heterocyclic amino acids. Now we will see the functions of amino acid. Amino acids provide the monomer units from which the long polypeptide chain of proteins are synthesized. Proteins are synthesized from the polypeptide chain, and polypeptide chain which are synthesized from the sequential bonding of amino acids. Means how the peptide bond will form a condensation of two molecules of amino acids will form a peptide bond. From this uh, sequential arrangement of amino acids will form polypeptides, and then it forms the proteins. Now we will see the second point. L amino acids and their derivatives participates in cellular functions as nerve transmission and also biosynthesis of porphyrins, purines, pyrimidines and urea. L amino acids and their derivatives participate in cellular functions as nerve transmission, biosynthesis of porphyrin, purines, pyrimidines and urea. Next point we will see. Short polymers of amino acids called polypeptides perform prominent roles in the neuroendocrine system has hormones, hormone releasing factors and neurotransmitters. Now we will see the next point. Niacin, serotonin and melatonin are synthesized from tryptophan. In the same way, melanin, thyroid hormone, catecholamines are synthesized from tyrosine. Next point we will see. GABA means GABA. It is a neurotransmitter and is synthesized from glutamic acid. Nitric oxide, a smooth muscle relaxant, is synthesized from arginine. And amino acids acts as precursors for heme, creatine, porphyrin, purines and pyrimidines. Let's see the another slide. Amino acids has ampholytes. Ampholytes means they can donate or accept a proton and hence known as the ampholytes. Amino acids can donate or accept a protons, hence it is called as the ampholytes. In amino acids, one amino group and acidic group both will present. Means they can donate or accept a proton. That's why it is called as the ampholytes. For example, this is the zwitterion form. How it is formed? By donating carboxyl group hydrogen to the amine group. Means this hydrogen can transfer to the amino group, and it will amino group and it will get positive charge, and here we will get negative charge. As a result we will get a zwitterion form. So this hydrogen can transform from carboxyl group to the amino group. That's why we will get here carboxyl group and here positive charge on the nitrogen. That's why we will get the zwitterion form. And in a strongly acidic pH, amino acid is positively charged. In a strongly alkaline pH, amino acid is negatively charged. If we take zwitterion, it is neutral in a pH. Then at a low pH, it is in a positive charged, and it is in at a high pH, it is in a negative charged. Means in a strong acidic solution, it is in a positive charged. In a strong alkaline solution, it is in a negative charged. Now we will see the isoelectric pH. Isoelectric pH may be defined as a pH at which molecular exists as a zwitterion or a dipolar ion and carries no net charge. Isoelectric pH means it is a pH at which molecular exists as a zwitterion form and it carries no net charge, and a molecule is electrically neutral at a isoelectric pH. Now we will see the isoelectric point. If we take the zwitterion, this is the zwitterion. Where we will get zwitterion form at a neutral pH, we will get the zwitterion form. In a low pH means strongly acidic condition, it can form a cationic form, and at a high pH means strongly alkaline solution, it can form anionic form. Okay, now we will see the stereochemistry of the amino acids. All amino acids are optically active. Why all amino acids are optically active means they contain the asymmetric carbon or chiral carbon. That's why they are optically active form. But one of the amino acid means one amino acid, it is not a optically active form. Why? Because glycine, it doesn't contain four different groups on the center carbon. That's why it is a optically inactive compound. All the amino acids have one asymmetric carbon or chiral carbon to which four different groups are attached. What are they? Carboxyl group, amino group, hydrogen atom, or R group. Now the mirror images of molecules of amino acids are non-superimposable to each other. Amino acids do not have a plane of symmetry. If we take the uh, one amino acid, it will be exist in a L isomer form and a D isomer form. These both are non-superimposable mirror images of amino acids. Amino acids, non-superimposable mirror images of amino acids means they are enantiomers. Okay, now we know that non-superimposable mirror images of amino acids are called as enantiomers. So all amino acids rotate the plane of polarized light. These are non-superimposable mirror images of each other and known as enantiomers of each other. If we uh, if we are writing the one amino acid, if the carboxyl group is written at the top, and D form refers to the isomer having NH2 group at on the right side. The L form refers to the amino group, means amino group on the left side. If while writing the amino acid, highly oxidized group, if we write on the top side, if amino group is uh, we will write on the left side, it is considered as the L isomer. If the amino group is we will write on the right side, it is considered as the D amino acid. Now we will see the chemical properties of amino acids. In chemical properties of amino acids, we will observe the reactions of amino groups and carboxyl groups, and reactions due to the amino and carboxyl groups, and reactions due to the side chain. Now first one, reactions due to the amino group. Oxidative deamination. An amino group is removed and corresponding alpha keto acid is formed. Alpha keto acid produced is either converted to glucose or ketone bodies, or is completely oxidized. Here, amino acid we are taking. By losing two hydrogens, we will get amino acid. By adding H2O molecule, we will get keto acid, and here byproduct is ammonia. Okay, now oxidative deamination. Here we are removing amino group, and it forming amino acid. Then after by adding the H2O, we will get keto acid. Next, transamination. Transfer of an alpha amino group from an amino acid to an alpha keto acid to form a new amino acid and a corresponding keto acid. Here we are taking one amino acid and one keto acid. Here this amino group will transfer to the this carbon, means we are getting this amino group will transfer to this carbon and we are getting two products. Okay, now this reaction is known as transamination, and we will see the third reaction, formation of carboimino compound. Here CO2 binds to alpha amino acids on the globin chain of hemoglobin to form carbamino hemoglobin. We know that hemoglobin contain globin chains. This globin chain make a bond with CO2. Okay, now so CO2 binds to a alpha amino acid on the globin chain of hemoglobin to form a carbamino hemoglobin. The reaction takes place at alkaline pH and serve as a mechanism for the transfer of carbon dioxide from the tissues to the lungs by the hemoglobin. So, the reaction takes place at alkaline pH and serves as a mechanism for the carbon dioxide from the tissues to the lung by the hemoglobin. So, tissues through the hemoglobin, the CO2 transfer will be takes place from the tissues to the lungs through the hemoglobin. So, this is known as the formation of a carbamino compound. Here, hemoglobin contain globin chains. In that globin chains, alpha amino acids will present. This alpha amino acids will make a bind with the CO2. As a result, carbamino hemoglobin will form. This carbamino hemoglobin transfers the CO2 from tissues to lungs. Okay, now we will see the reactions due to carboxyl group. First one is decarboxylation. Amino acids undergo alpha decarboxylations to form corresponding amines. So, amino acids undergoes decarboxylation and forms corresponding amino acids. Glutamic acid loses CO2 and form GABA, and same way histidine also loses CO2 and form histamine, and tyrosine also loses CO2 and form tyramine. Here one example they given, histidine loses CO2 and forms histamine. Now formation of amide linkages. Here non-alpha carboxyl group of an acidic amino acid reacts with the ammonia by condensation reaction to form corresponding amides. So, non-alpha carboxyl group of an acidic amino group. Acidic amino group. This is the non-alpha carboxyl group. This one is the non-alpha carboxyl group, and this reacts with the ammonia and forms amide group. Okay, now for example, aspartic acid reacts with ammonia and make a amide form. So, asparagine. Aspartic acid reacts with ammonia by utilizing adenosine triphosphate and it converting into adenosine diphosphate, and here asparagine is forming. So acid is converted into the amide form. Now we will see the next reaction. Amino acid whenever reacts with the ammonia by losing H2O, it will converted into amino acid amide. And in a second reaction, amino acid whenever reacts with the alcohol by losing H2O, it will form ester. And in a third reaction, amino acid reacts with the primary amide. What happened by losing H2O, it will converted into substituted amide. Now we will see the reactions due to both amino and carboxyl groups. Formation of a peptide bond. How the peptide bond will form. Now we will see carboxyl group from one amino acid and amino group from another amino acid make a peptide bond by losing the one water molecule. Here mechanism is given. This is the one amino acid and this one is the other amino acid. Here COOH OH and one hydrogen of nitrogen will lost by as a minus H2O and making a peptide bond. Now we will see the reaction due to side chains. Ester formation. OH containing amino acids. For example, serine 309 can form esters with phosphoric acid in the formation of phosphoproteins. OH group containing amino acids can also form glycosides by forming a O-glycosidic bond with carbohydrate residue. Here proline contain OH. It utilizes ATP and converted into ADP by making a phosphate bond. Okay, now then we will see the other reaction. Reaction due to SH group form. SH group and formation of sulfide bond. Here what happened means two cysteine molecules making a SS sulfur bond by oxidation method. Cysteine has a sulfyl hydroxyl group and can form a disulfide bond with another cysteine residue. So the dimer is called a cysteine. Here two cysteine molecules means here one SH and another SH will make a bond sulfur bond means two cysteine molecules form a cysteine molecule. Now we will see the other reaction. Two cysteine residues can connect two polypeptide chains by the formation of interchain disulfide chains. Here if we take the two proteins, it contain two sulfur H bonds means two thioalcohol bonds. These two thioalcohol bonds related to the two proteins will involved in the reaction and forms a sulfur bond. Now we will see the next reaction, transmethylation. Here transmethylation means here one methyl group is transferring. For example, if we take the S-adenosyl methionine, in the S-adenosyl methionine will transfer the methyl group to the norepinephrine to epinephrine. Means here what happened means S-adenosyl here S-adenosyl methionine will transfer the one methyl group to the norepinephrine to the epinephrine. Here what happened means in a transmethylation one methyl group will be transferred from methionine to the norepinephrine to epinephrine. As a result we can get the methyl group substituted norepinephrine. Okay, now next we will see the reaction due to the both amino acids. Carboxyl group from one amino group and amino group from other amino acid will form a peptide group by losing one H2O. So as a result we can get peptide bond here. Carboxyl group from one amino acid amino group from another amino acid will involved by losing one H2O and form a peptide bond. As a result, we can get the uh, dipeptide. Okay, now so this is the reaction due to the both amino and carboxyl groups. Now we will see the peptide bond formation. Amino acids are linked together by condensation reaction between a carboxyl and amino groups from two different amino acids with elimination of water. The amide bond formed is called peptide bond. I told you before only, the carboxyl group from one amino acid and amino group from another amino acid will losses minus H2O and make a bond that is called as the peptide bond. The product is called a peptide and named according to the number of amino acids involved. If two amino acids involved in making a peptide bond, that is called as the dipeptide. If three amino acids are involved to make a bond by forming two peptide bonds is called as the tripeptide. Big peptide means more than 50 amino acids are involved in this type of peptides, and that is called as the polypeptide. N terminal is left side and C terminal is right side. The most simple peptides are dipeptides. Here, two amino acids, in between the two amino acids there will be a peptide bond, and now we will see the nomenclature of peptides. Peptides are taken as n amino acyl derivatives of amino acids or peptides. For example, glycyl alanine and allyl glycine are two different peptides. Here, glycine, alanine. Here, the dipeptide which is formed from glycine and alanine is called as glycyl alanine. The dipeptide which is formed from alanine glycine is called as alanyl glycine, and we can see the name of glycyl alanine and alanyl glycine. A peptide bond highlighted in blue is an amide linkage that connects two amino acids. L-phenylalanine, L-valine, a dipeptide. L-leucyl, L-alanine, a dipeptide. The usual peptide naming protocol is that C-terminus amino acid or carboxyl amino end is considered the parent and successive amino acid added to the N-terminus. L relates to the stereochemistry of the amino acid with the exception of achiral glycine or protein-genic amino acids or LAC. Now we will see the structure of amino acids. Biochemists have distinguished several levels of structural organization of proteins. They are primary structure, secondary structure, tertiary structure and quaternary structures. This is the primary structure. Primary structure is made from the number of amino acids where sequentially bond make a primary structure. This peptide chains means peptide chains make a bond in between two chains has a sulfur-sulfur bond, and if any one amino acid is missed in this protein chain will causes many diseases in a human body. Now we will see the secondary structure. Secondary structure is a helical helix type of structure. It is two types of helix are there. One is alpha helix and beta helix. Alpha helix means the helix takes place at right side is known as the alpha helix. If the helix takes place at in left side is known as the beta helix. Now we will see the tertiary structure. It is a rope like structure, means it can be bent uh, or a twist. uh, Now we will see the quaternary structure. Quaternary structure is a combination of a primary, secondary and a tertiary structure, and it is a complex structure. Now we will see the classification of proteins according to composition. It can be classified into two types: simple proteins and complex proteins. Simple proteins means composed only of amino acids. And complex proteins means proteins combined with a non-protein part. This non-protein part is also known as a prosthetic group. Depending on the function of proteins, proteins are classified into number of types. The means structural proteins, contractile proteins, transport proteins, storage proteins, hormonal proteins, enzyme proteins and protection proteins. So if we see the examples of structural proteins: tendons, cartilage, hairs, nails, and contractile proteins, muscles. Transporter proteins, hemoglobin. Storage proteins, milk. Hormonal proteins, insulin, growth hormone. Enzyme proteins, catalyzes reaction in cells. And protection proteins, immune response. Thank you for all. uh, and thank you to all TTWRDC institutions for giving me this chance.